Welcome back. In this lesson, I'll demonstrate some of the basics of FiberMesh. Now, there are lessons on digital tutors that cover FiberMesh extensively and how to do all the hair and all that stuff. I just want this to be kind of a primer, just to familiarize you with how to do it. So, I'm going to turn symmetry and lazy mouse off because I have those on by default. And first thing you can do, just alt click your head, which will automatically select the tool, and then you can start by just masking off an area, holding down Control. Now this is one way to do it. You can also do it with polygroups, but I'll just show you this method real quick. So line your head up so that basically it's facing right side up, because when you create FiberMesh it will obey gravity and it'll go down whichever way your model's facing, whichever way down is in your image. So, and then just right here in FiberMesh in your tool palette, go to Lightbox Fibers and just open this one right here, Fibers 160. Okay, hit comma to close that, and you could see, and there's your fibers. So the key technique here is working in pieces. If you just select all the whole head of hair and do fibers like that, it's going to be a mess. But I'll show you some tricks. So right here, you got length profile. Kind of play with these values, you'll see what they do. This is generally how many fibers you have. The cool thing about FiberMesh is you can create it as geometry, but you can also retain render settings. So for example, this kind of looks jaggy, but if I hit BPR, I'll pause, you'll see here it renders smoothly. And that's because of these settings here. You could tell it how many sides the hair has, what the radius of the hairs is, the amount of subdivisions you want to put into it, and the I'm not really sure what that does. By the way, hold down Control to see help on anything. That's very useful. So again, as a primer, you can change the length of this thing. Now watch what happens if I turn the model like this. Let's say I wanted to see it from here, and I change the length. All of a sudden, it's obeying the gravity of the angle that I had it at. So if your hair does that, keep in mind you just have to put your model right side up and then change your settings. Okay, let's say this is the hair I want. If really one of the only things I mess with, revolve rate. This makes you want a little bit of this revolve rate, and let's see, clumps only acts upon the poly that created that each hair springs from. So if you have really small subdivisions, clumps isn't going to do much, and if you have very big subdivisions, then clumps will, you'll almost get like a punk rock effect where everything's joined together. All the hairs coming from each individual poly are going to clump together. Then you have some render options, you have some scale options, but mostly what I play with is the length, the revolve rate, and I guess you could play with gravity a little bit. And then this gives it variations. A lot of these V coverage variations, slim variations. Okay, so let's say I'm going to keep that. I'm just going to hit accept. Preview settings. Okay, so you can use these groom brushes, but I personally don't have great results with groom brushes. I'll show you why. Take this and start to groom it. Oh, you want to alt click this hair because it's a new subtool. There you go. And it has color on it, so if you want to get rid of that, just hit this paintbrush. Okay, grooming's nice, you know, for what it is, but one thing that's cool is it retains the length of the hair. But one thing I don't like about it is it's very hard to control what's going on. And again, that's something that you can learn with practice. I just don't really personally have the practice with FiberMesh to do that. So I really like Move Tool for working with hair, and what that lets me do is kind of control the hair the same way I control all the other things in the sculpture. Just moving it, and by default, you see, I can't move the roots. The roots are going to be stuck in the head, and the way you can turn that on and off is by going to Brush, Auto Masking, and Auto Mask FiberMesh. If you turn that off, now all of a sudden you can pull the hairs right out of the head. You don't necessarily want to do that, but maybe you want to, let's say you want to duplicate this, and then you want to move that over to another part of the head. You can turn off Auto Mask FiberMesh, and now you have another piece of hair that you can put somewhere else. You know, if you've created a perfect little bunch of hair that you want to propagate over the model, and that's one way to work it. You can do a combination of both. You can take, let's say I want to take this piece of hair right here, and I want to put it here. I want to make the roots go into the model, so I'm going to turn off Auto Mask FiberMesh and go to my Move tool, and then just move it in there. I'm already starting to create some hair coverage. And you know, I'm going to turn this back on. The one thing that's really going to be tricky with this is the smooth. The smooth command basically does what smooth would do in a long string type of polygon, is it'll start to shorten it because it's smoothing everything down, and so you want to be really careful with the smooth and not do that. And if you want to control individual hairs, you can use BMT, which is move topological, and you can, that way you can grab individual hairs and move them around. A good trick to make your hair look more realistic is to create several of these. This is kind of what the pros do when they want to make ultra real hairs. They'll go back into FiberMesh and they'll create some more hairs right here, except they'll be thinner so that they have that effect of like kind of the base coat of hair, and then the thin little hairs, that little strands that kind of stick out by themselves. Alright, here's another cool trick you can do with the hair. It's just like any geometry, it has polygroups. So I can Shift Control drag over a part of it. I can control W, and that will create polygroups in my hair, which is awesome because you're going to want to isolate this hair a lot and just work on little parts of it. So let's say I want this, oh, there we go. So I want this hair right here. To kind of cover more of this area. I want this hair right here to cover more of this area. And you could see, like, we did this so quickly and we're already getting some coverage. And then again, like with everything, the majority of what you're going to be doing is finesse work. Alright, so that's the basics of FiberMesh. And if you want more details, check out some of the cool tutorials on Digital Tutors that explain this stuff a lot more. In the next lesson, we'll be doing a kind of a rough ZBrush sketch to plan out what we want to do with this character in terms of design. I'll show you how to do that. So thanks.